very good evening to you. Many thanks for joining us tonight on the broadcast. You're watching KUTV Weekend Live. We begin with the highlights. President William Ruto says he will not tire in giving to the church despite the rising criticism from the clergy. Impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua rubbishes members of Parliament with claims that Parliament is captured. Deputy President Kithure Kindiki calls on leaders to air their governance proposals in diplomatic ways rather than propelling divisive politics. And leaders allied to Kalonzo front him for 2027 elections, refuting claims of being part of the broad-based government.
This is Weekend Live with Anyango, Sylvia.
That's right, and our sign language interpreter tonight is Lucy Kiari. Remember, this broadcast is also coming to you live on YouTube at KUTVNEWS Kenya, and you can engage with us on X at KUTV_Kenya, at Anyango Sylvia KE. We begin. President William Ruto remains steadfast in his commitment to supporting churches financially despite growing criticism from clergy and citizens. This comes against the backdrop of increasing scrutiny of his administration's handling of church donations and governance.
President William Ruto has reiterated his unwavering support for churches, stating he will continue providing monetary donations to support the development and spread of Christianity. Speaking during a church service in Kericho, the president defended his actions, describing himself as a product of giving.
Going to give in keeping so that the word of God can reach others who have not known God, and we are going to serve God through our giving. So we have absolutely no apologies to make as we give to God, because God gave first. And we understand the word of God enough to know that it is more blessed to give than to receive. And that is what we're going to do.
Ruto also highlighted his long-standing tradition of supporting church projects, claiming to have helped build 30 churches over the past 3 decades. Despite the criticism, he emphasized that his giving reflects his personal faith and values.
Nimejenga makanisa kwa miaka 30. And I have never lacked, because I know the secret of giving and I know what it does. Me as William Ruto, I am a product of giving.
However, this gesture has not been well received universally. The Archdiocese of Nairobi recently returned 2.8 million shillings donated by the President and Nairobi Governor Johnson Sakaja, citing adherence to directives from the Kenya Conference of Catholic Bishops and provisions of the Public Fundraising Appeals Bill 2024. Ruto has also emphasized that leaders must prioritize service over division and unhealthy competition, urging them to focus on development rather than early campaigns for the 2027 elections. He reiterated that Kenyans evaluate leaders based on their performance, cautioning against complacency and regional political rivalries.
Hakuna haja ya ugomvi. Hakuna haja ya mashindano. Sisi wote tukiwa viongozi tupange vile tunaweza kupeleka Kenya mbele kwa pamoja. Ugomvi haina maana. Mashindano haina maana. Sisi wote, we have one country to serve. We have one people, the people of Kenya, to serve. Tushirikiane, tufanye kazi kwa pamoja. Siasa, watu wa siasa mingi ya bure. Tufanye kazi kwanza kwa hao wananchi. Mambo ya kura itapigwa 2027.
As Kenya grapples with economic challenges, reactions about accountability and the role of the church in advocating for prudent leadership continues as President Ruto seeks to solidify his leadership approach. Brenda Nyongesa, KUTV.
Impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has come out guns blazing against members of parliament who he has referred to as jokers. Gachagua was rubbishing the event that transpired in parliament after the pull down of a Adani deal where he stated that the MPs have been captured and that the president directive came unwillingly. Listen in.
Yet again, impeached Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua has attacked his former boss concerning the axing of the Adani deal. Gachagua, who denounced the members of parliament for hailing the president, highlighted that the MPs have been captured, leaving Kenyans unrepresented in the government.
Mimi nilimwambia Rais William Ruto hii maneno ya Adani, it is shady. Iko na ukora. This is auctioning the country. And the people, Mr. President, don't want it. Akanichukia. Ikasemekana ati mimi napinga miradi ya serikali. Sasa ufisadi ni mradi wa serikali? That is corruption. It's not a government program.
Gachagua has also called out leaders who, according to him, are in denial of the Mount Kenya region being against President Ruto, stating that the event witnessed in recent days, where condolences message of the president and his deputy were not read in Murang'a, and also the events in Embu, shows that the ground is hostile.
Na ni mzuri mimi nimeseme. Rais wetu William Ruto rafiki yangu alifanya mzuri sana kuleta hii vita na mimi na watu ya mlima, kwa sababu tumemjua. Ati pale Embu walikuwa wanasema ati mimi ndio nilete hiyo watu. Mimi hata walininyima kiti pale kwa jukwaa, nikaenda kukaa na raia. Nikitajwa hema karibu na pasuka.
Gachagua has, however, hinted on a new political movement come 2025 January, lauding the churches for being the voices of Kenyans, for the parliament has failed. Gachagua has questioned the quality of legislators, stating they have forgotten their mandate.
And let me say, this mountain, next year, the political movement that will start in this mountain, two will look like a joke.
Leaders who accompanied Gachagua, led by Murang'a Senator Joe Nyotu and his Kiambu counterpart Karungo Adhangwa, have called out on KK government on the grounds of the level of impunity being observed.
Juzi wamekuwa huku wakizunguka wakisema Adani ni mzuri. Yeah? Ama hujasikia? Adani ni mzuri. Asijui itatengeneza airport. Sijui itafanya nini. Wakati president amesema the contract to be cancelled, the same members of parliament wamesimama wana celebrate. What a shame.
The political temperatures continue to take center stage in recent events, particularly after the pulling down of the Adani deal, which has left Kenyans with questions on the integrity of the government and on which way to take. Edward Nyamo, KUTV.
At the same time, President William Ruto has today reiterated his tireless efforts to promote the Social Health Authority, SHA, as he strongly condemned those opposing the scheme. Speaking during an interdenominational church service in Kericho County, the head of state urged all Kenyans to register first before criticizing the government, despite the scheme facing mounting opposition from a section of leaders and citizens. James Baraka reports.
Wewe Mkenya, kazi yako ya kwanza ni kujisajili.
In a bid to lure all Kenyans to register for the new Social Health Authority, famously known as SHA, President William Ruto has reiterated his clarion call to all citizens to embrace the scheme, while at the same time sharply criticizing those who oppose the initiative before they have registered themselves.
Sasa wewe hujajisajili, hujaenda hospitali, wewe umejuaje haifanyi kazi? Si ujiandikishe kwanza. Kila Mkenya kwanza, kabla hujatoa maoni, kabla hujalalamika, kwanza jiandikishe. Alafu ndio saa ile unaongea maneno uko ndani. ndio tupangane huko ndani.
Speaking at Kipsitet Primary School in Kericho County while attending an interdenominational church service, the head of state did not shy away from assuring Kenyans the success of the SHA initiative amidst mounting opposition from a section of leaders and citizens alike.
Failure is not an option. We must succeed as a nation. Mimi nimefuatilia maneno hii ya NHIF from 2013. Na hii ambayo tumefanya sasa kwa mapenzi ya Mungu hii itafaulu. Kwa hivyo kila mmoja wenu mjipange vizuri.
President Ruto's sentiments comes just a day after the Ministry of Health Principal Secretary Mary Muthoni joined Christian faithfuls from different churches in Nairobi spreading the same message of urging Kenyans to register for SHA.
Usijiandikishe peke yako. Ukijiandikisha, muandikishe mwenzako. Muandikishe baba ama muandikishe mama kama dependent. Ndio sisi wote tuweze kupata nafasi ya kupewa services katika zile mahospitali tuko nazo katika nchi hii ya Kenya.
Mambo ya afya tunaanza pale chini. Na ndio sababu tumebadilisha delivery ama vile tunaendesha mambo ya afya ya Wakenya. Ile mpango ya zamani ilikuwa ni mpango ambayo ilikuwa inashughulika na watu wachache, wale wenye nafasi ya ajira na wale wenye uwezo. Lakini hata mtu mwenye hana uwezo pia anakuwa mgonjwa.
As this happens, mounting criticism against the new health insurance scheme continues to fill the air, despite more than 14 million Kenyans so far having registered for the scheme.
Wacha niulize kwa hii mkutano, wangapi wamejiandikisha? Mmejaribu.
James Baraka for KUTV.
Deputy President Professor Kithure has called on leaders to come together and help the government deliver to Kenyans by giving their governance proposals in diplomatic ways rather than inciting the public to division and hate. Let's get more from our very own Rukia Hussein.
The Deputy President, Professor Kithure has acknowledged that Kenya needs deliberate decision be made to ensure its prosperity. This was during a church service at the African Inland Church, AIC Mission in Marsabit County. Kindiki reaffirmed the government's commitment to fostering national growth by promoting unity and ensuring that every Kenyan, regardless of the tribe or background, feels at home in the country. Kindiki called out leaders who he said spearhead division in the country by voicing out their opinions on how the country should be run in uncivilized manner.
Mtu yeyote ambaye ni kiongozi ako na uhuru wa kuleta maoni vile Kenya hii ingekuwa bora zaidi, lakini ailete kwa uzalendo na upendo na akiwa mtu ambaye anapenda nchi yake. Tusikosoane na njia ya kuharibiana heshima na njia ya kuleta uchochezi. Any leader who is inciting any section of the society is not worth that title of leadership.
The second in command also took the opportunity to laud the new health insurance scheme, Social Health Authority SHA, for its conclusion in terms of contribution and services delivery to all classes of life. This is despite the setbacks that he said are currently experienced in delivering outpatient services.
I can say without fear of contradiction that the new social health insurance will work and it will benefit the people of Kenya. Kuna matatizo kidogo saa hizi. Right now as we speak, those with chronic illnesses and emergency cases, they are not having a lot of problems.
He also assured Kenyans that the government is committed to reforming the education sector, aiming to improve the learning experience for every student across the country. He emphasized that the goal is to provide quality education that will empower future generations and contribute to the nation's overall development.
Matatizo ambayo tuko nayo katika mambo ya elimu ya watoto wetu, vile vile tunayashughulikia, and I want to assure you we will reform our education system to make sure it responds to the needs of the people of Kenya.
In conclusion to that, the Deputy President, Professor Kutv reiterated the government's dedication to fostering unity, enhancing health care, and reforming the education sector to ensure the prosperity and well-being of all Kenyans. Rukia Hussein, KUTV.
Leaders allied to Wiper leader Kalonzo Musyoka have expressed their support for Kalonzo in his 2027 election bid, while firmly denying being part of the broad-based government. The leaders, including Jubilee Party leader Jeremiah Kioni, have faulted the government for allegedly lying to Kenyans. They have expressed dissatisfaction with SHA rollout, saying the new health insurance scheme will lead to loss of jobs. Besides, the leaders demand that Kenyan money spent on bringing Adani on board be compensated, and those responsible for the deals brought to justice. They claim that Adani deals had over-budgeted for the projects. Nevertheless, Kalonzo called on leaders to cease involving themselves in the 2027 politics and focus on 2024. This is besides the call he made of Kenya needing an IEBC that is not user-friendly, but that which represents the interest of citizens. On that note, we are taking the very first break on the broadcast tonight. Don't go far, we'll be back with more stories.
Hi, my name is Stella Tioi.
Jina langu naitwa Okemwa Mokwa James.
This is Mandela Gaya.
Ugonjwa ulipokuja ulichukua siku 3 ukaniweka in coma. 20 wamezikwa, 2 ndio wako hai.
I don't even know how it feels to see.
I feel like I cannot express myself well the way somebody who can walk can actually express themselves.
Ilichukua muda mwingi mrefu tena mpana ili kuikubali kwamba mimi siwezi tembea tena.
I've come to actually accept myself.
Ukijaribu kumsimamisha mtu mwambie tafadhali nionyeshe njia.
They find it quite strange talking to you.
We should just make schools integrated,
inclusive setups,
by providing the right facilities.
Access to knowledge. Solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa. Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili. Hiyo inaweza kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni Duniani Leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
You are are watching Weekend Live with Anyango, Sylvia.
Welcome back. Remember to keep engaging with us on our social media platforms, that is on X at KUTV_Kenya at Anyango Sylvia KE. Now, Kenya remains committed towards the realization of sustainable peace, security and development within the Great Lakes region. This is according to Prime Cabinet Secretary Musalia Mudavadi, who noted that all member states of the International Conference on the Great Lake Region, ICGLR, should continue supporting the peace restoration process in conflict-prone areas, including but not limited to Eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, Central African Republic, and Sudan. He said the region's rich and abundance of natural resources and human capital should be a driving factor towards promoting peace and sustainability for economic development and the common benefit for all. Church of God East Africa, Kenya Archbishop Dr. James Ombunde has described present world socio-economic issues as satanic and urged fixers to seek good counsel. Obunde alluded to the recent uprising by the young generation known as Generation Z, claiming that their outburst was caused by underemployment and other factors. According to the bishop, the teenagers were disillusioned due to a lack of employment opportunities, despite the fact that some of them had completed the highest levels of study.
The Gen Z uprising came out of the fact that we have too many young people educated, but they're either underemployed or unemployed. And because of that, the cost of living is also high, and these people don't have any means of livelihood. And therefore it creates a revolution that let the government put in place a mechanism of creating employment, and also so that you can be able to reduce this kind of situation, this kind of uprising. At the same time, let them create an enabling environment where the Gen Zs who are aspiring to go to universities and tertiary institutions can be able to access with ease the loans that the government gives with ease, and particularly those from the poor families, because those from the poor families are hard hit. They can't go to school, and that's going even to be worse, because you will have a generation that is not educated and is unemployed, and that's a time bomb waiting to explode.
Now let's shift gears to news across our borders, where President-elect Donald Trump's choice to serve as the next U.S. Secretary of State is Marco Rubio, a Florida Republican who has been in the Senate since 2011 and serves on the Chamber's Foreign Relations and Intelligence Committees. U.S. Chief National Correspondent Steve Herman has more.
53-year-old Marco Rubio is the son of working-class Cuban immigrants. If he is confirmed by his Senate colleagues, he would become the first Latino Secretary of State. Rubio has exhibited a tough stance toward authoritarian regimes in Cuba, Nicaragua, and Venezuela, as well as China.
Call him a hawk, if you will, and it really is across a number of issues, certainly China among them.
Rubio has said China is partnering with Iran, North Korea, and Russia against the United States. After Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022, Rubio was a vocal supporter of Kiev. More recently, he has called for negotiations to end the conflict and voted in April against a $95 billion military aid package.
And so I believe our goal when it comes to Ukraine is to be helpful to Ukraine in a way that doesn't drain us, in a way that doesn't harm our alliances around the world.
Rubio's fellow senators who would vote on his confirmation are expected to examine his beliefs on U.S. policy towards the country, O'Hanlon says.
Certainly if we were to abandon Ukraine, not that Rubio is implying we should, but if we were to watch Ukraine suffer a defeat, that would make a lot of allies around the world wonder if we would be really behind them, if we would have their back.
Rubio was one of Donald Trump's rivals in the Republican presidential primary 8 years ago. As Secretary of State, he would be the key diplomat implementing Trump's America First foreign policy.
Whatever the expectations, we must be realistic. The United States will prioritize its interests over those of the rest of the world.
When it comes to the Middle East, Rubio has been a staunch supporter of Israel, in line with Trump's stance. As a senator, Rubio has called for Israel to eradicate Hamas in Gaza, opposing ceasefires that he says would allow the U.S.-designated terrorist organization to regroup. Steve Herman, VOA News, at the State Department.
We are taking yet another short break. We'll be back with sports.
Katika maisha yetu ya leo, wakulima na jamii nyingi kwa ujumla wanakumbatia teknolojia mbalimbali na kilimo hai ili kuondoa magonjwa sugu na kuongeza usalama na utoshelevu wa chakula. Mbolea asili imepunguza asidi kwenye udongo na kuongeza mavuno chungu nzima. Wajua tuko shambani, na humu shambani pia kuna ng'ombe, kuna kuku, na wanaacha uchafu wao. Na huo uchafu si wa kutupwa, ni wa kutumika katika kilimo kama mbolea. Kwa sababu mimea hii imekuwa kutumia mbolea ya hawa wanyama. Wakulima mbalimbali wamekumbatia teknolojia ili kuokoa gharama ya ukulima na kutumia nafasi zilizopo katika mashamba yao.
Access to knowledge, solution to unanswered questions.
Guidelines to pursuing your rights and repossessing your property, intellectual or material.
This and more, only on Law Matters.
Baada ya kutafuta kazi, tunaweza kuanzisha miradi yetu ambayo ingetusaidia kubadilisha maisha ya wazazi wetu.
Kwa vijana wenzangu, wengi hawana kazi, lakini ikiwa sisi wenyewe tutajiamini, tunaweza kujiajiri wenyewe.
Afrika kwa kweli tuna mahitaji ambayo ukiyasuluhisha unaweza kuathiri watu kwenye bara hili.
Bila woga, watu huwa na uzalishaji zaidi, wanajawa na ujasiri, wanakuwa wabunifu na wanakuwa wenye maarifa.
Niliamua kuacha kazi. Hata kama sitafanikiwa, nitakuwa nimejaribu, nitakuwa najua haiwezekani.
Hakuna kitu cha ajabu hapa. Kila anayepata ufanisi hufanya kazi usiku na mchana.
Kitu kitakusukuma na kuwezesha kupata maarifa ambayo hukuwa nayo.
Tunajaribu kutengeneza kitu kitakachopita mipaka ya nchi hii.
Ikiwa unataka kubadilisha ulimwengu, anza na nyumbani.
Welcome back, and in sports tonight, Sofapaka and Mara Sugar battled to a 1-1 draw in the Football Kenya Federation Premier League at Green Stadium, Awendo. Ronald Sempala put Sofapaka in the front with an early strike in the 4th minute, assisted by Baron Ochieng. Mara Sugar responded through Matthias Isogol, who delivered a spectacular free kick set up by Woodvine Okoth, equalizing the score. Both teams secured a point each in an early contested match. Meanwhile, Ulinzi Stars and Bidco United played out a goalless stalemate at Kinoru Stadium. Liverpool has secured a hard-fought 3-2 victory over Southampton at St. Mary's Stadium. Dominic Soboslai opened the scoring for the Reds in the 30th minute, followed by Mohamed Salah, who netted a brace with with goals at the 65th and 83rd minute, the latter from the penalty spot. Southampton fought back with Matheus Fernandes scoring his first ever Premier League goal in the 56th minute. A counter-attack in the 42nd minute from Adan Armstrong, and the just concluded match between Ipswich Town and Man United has ended on a 1-1 draw. That is it from us tonight. On behalf of the production team led by my producer, Edward Nyamu, and director Mutegi K. Martin, thank you so much for choosing KUTV and for staying with KUTV this far. Our sign language interpreter tonight is Lucy Kiarie, and I'm Anyango Sylvia. Have a good night.